What up, player profiler faithful? It's Matty Kiwoom. Welcome to the latest episode of The Game Plan. Today, we are talking about Dynasty rankings. We've had free agency. We're approaching the NFL draft. We've seen pro days. We've seen the combine. There's a lot that's been happening, so it's time for a Dynasty rankings update. And I got a very, very special guest. So, ladies, gentlemen, children of all ages, grab out your pens and your pads and let's start game planning to dominate our Dynasty leagues. My guest today is a friend of mine. He is the third chair of the hurdle on Wednesday nights with Cody Carpentier. He is the host of the Dynasty Roundtable. I'm talking about the editor-in-chief over here at Player Profile. If you write it, he gonna see it. My man Seth Diewold. What up, Sethy D?
What's going on, Matty? We probably should have recorded the 45-minute show that we had before. Where we were just talking about everything from
talking about Caleb,
about just finances and the working man, and just fighting for the right to fighting for your right to party in this great country of ours. So there is nothing better than I like to spend my morning doing than just talking dynasty rankings, talking dynasty strategy. So I'm here for it. I'm excited, man.
And I always break the fourth wall. So just a little behind the scenes. Seth has been doing such a great job really just diving into the art of rankings, dynasty rankings. And you've noticed it over the Dynasty Roundtable. You and Matt have really just gotten in the weeds and really just kind of dissected what it really means to rank these guys for Dynasty, how you go about these rankings in Dynasty. So when I wanted to have you on the show, it was like, oh, it's a perfect time to give a little Dynasty rankings update because, we've had a bunch of things happen. We're about to get into the NFL draft. So there's a lot to break down. There's a lot to look at when talking about dynasty ranks. And so I really just wanted to get your thoughts on just certain questions I'm having because I'm in the process of building out my dynasty ranks. I got my quarterbacks, my tight ends, finito, done, ready to go. Now I need to put some finishing touches on wide receiver and running back. So why not cheat a little bit and get one of the best around to come? Give me some little bit of secrets, and then I can help get my dynasty ranking. So, Seth, first question I have for you.
Mm-hmm.
The fun one. Who is someone that has absolutely flown up your dynasty ranks this offseason?
I'll give you because when I saw this question on the show, she has several names came to mind, but my general nature, Matty, is I'm a frugal man. I don't like to overspend for anything. Okay. And I really believe, and I've said this on multiple shows, and this is kind of my guy this year, that we all know the Atlanta pass catchers are going to get a boost, right?
Yep.
And you look at where Drake London's value has gone through the roof. Kyle Pitts, Kyle Pitts, people are a little still skeptical on Kyle Pitts, and maybe for good reason, but I think, obviously he's gotten a boost. But the guy who's flying under the radar right now and who I don't think is going to be ranked high enough, and I have him way higher than a lot of people, is Darnell Mooney. And a lot of people are going to say, you got your navy colored glasses on, Seth, because he was a former Bear and blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to hear it. Right. I can already see Harry Snowman in the chat. All right. But we're not too far removed from this guy getting 140 targets in 2021 for over 1,000 receiving yards. And he only had 4 touchdowns in that season. So he was only the wide receiver 27 in fantasy points per game. But Darnell Mooney is a field stretcher. And Justin Fields only attempted 370 passes. He was number 18 in deep ball attempts. Granted, he was in number 13 in deep ball completion percentage, which is fine. Justin Fields was average, maybe a little bit above average, and throwing the deep ball completion percentage wise. But there were times where I watched the Bears closer than anybody, where there were a few times where he just airmailed Darnell Mooney, and he wasn't as accurate as he needed to be last year. Now you have Kirk Cousins. Let's see. He attempted, he attempts 643 passes in 2022. He was on that same pace in 2023. Deep ball attempts, same deal. Like if you just look historically at Kirk Cousins, 2022, number 7 in deep ball attempts, number 3 in air yards. Like this is a guy who's gonna open up the offense for the Atlanta Falcons. And it's great for Drake London, it's great for Kyle Pitts, and it's also great for Darnell Mooney because like I've been buying him everywhere. Like the price that I have seen is like that I've been able to acquire him for is anywhere from a 4th round rookie pick. Yes, a 4th round rookie pick to like a mid 3rd round rookie pick plus like a Zay Jones or something like that, which maybe is a little bit of an overpay, you might argue. But
that's the contract tax, right? That's the 3 years per contract tax.
Well, that's another thing. Like when that contract came across the wire, first of all, the landing spot, it couldn't be better for a player like Darnell Mooney because, like I said, Kirk Cousins is going to throw the deep ball, and that's what Darnell Mooney is going to do for this offense. He's going to be a field stretcher. Mm-hmm. Secondly, $26 million guaranteed, $39 million total. I get it. Receivers get paid these days. It's just a fact. But Darnell Mooney has barely 60 targets in back-to-back seasons, barely 400 receiving yards. I guess in 2022, he had almost 500. But you get what I'm saying here. It's not like this has been the most productive player, but clearly the Falcons believe that Darnell Mooney is still a really good wide receiver. When I watch the film, I believe Darnell Mooney still can get open at an impressive rate. I still think he's a good wide receiver. And we know if you've watched Bears games, this for a 170-pound wide receiver, he's not afraid to stick his nose in there and block in the run game. And that's going to, like, you don't think Bijan Robinson's going to love that and that offensive line? Like this Atlanta offense is taking off. And you could like, and because I'm a frugal guy, Matty, I'm not interested really in paying up and paying a top dollar for Drake London. I'm a little bit more interested in Kyle Pitts. I want Darnell Mooney, and that's somebody who's just skyrocketed up and I don't think gets enough respect.
So Darnell Mooney, you mentioned his ability to get open. You're not the only one who saw it. Raheem Morris saw it, and he showed that by giving him more guaranteed money than Gabe Davis, I believe. I think it was 25 to 24. It's in the same ballpark, but it was the same structured contract. So however you feel about Gabe Davis and the contract that he signed with the Jags, you got to feel that way in terms of confidence for Darnell Mooney in Atlanta. And at the owner's breakfast a couple days ago, Raheem Morris was at his table. He was fielding his questions. He called Darnell Mooney an elite separator at the NFL. That is about the best compliment you can give a wide receiver as opposed to just giving him a Justin Jefferson comp or something like that. Mm-hmm. So he called him an elite separator. And when you look at his player profiler page, go back to that 2021 season where he had a rack. He had the targets. He was 7th in our target separation metric. So he can get open, and he will create ways to not only put up numbers for himself, but help this offense as a whole take those strides forward. I love your call on Darnell Mooney. Over at Player Profiler, he's at wide receiver 79 in our dynasty ranks. Where do you have him?
I have him comfortably, like, let me just pull it up real quick. Like, comfortably, and my rankings are a little bit different. Like, I have him, let's see. I have him right now at 56, but he's probably going to go up because I think he should be in the 40s, like right around like some of these rookies. To be honest with you, like you talk about a player like Marquise Brown, like Josh Downs, Jacoby Myers. I think he should be in that category, and that would put him in my rankings like low 40s, like 47, 48, 49.
So inside the top 50.
Yeah, and even that I think is conservative because I think he has to be honest, like a floor of a wide receiver 3 this year. I really believe that with the volume because like I was talking about Drake London, everybody believes that Drake London is going to take this monumental leap. Mm-hmm. And to be fair, like the quarterback play has been god awful. I'll give you that. And we could see Drake London take that monumental leap, but I don't think Drake London is Justin Jefferson. Like I think he's good, but I don't know if he's elite. And he hasn't really shown that he can be elite. That means that there's going to be more pieces of the pie. It's going to be more of an equal distribution, I believe, for guys like Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts, like Bijan Robinson's going to take his slice. Rondell Moore's now in the mix too. So
He'll
it's
have
gonna they're
his
gonna
orchestrated plays. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, like that, like people are projecting like Drake London to like take this massive leap. And I'm not trying to say that we should hate on Drake London, but if there was like, he's one of the more obvious sells to me in Dynasty. Like if you want to just cash out at the top value, like I don't see his value really gaining much more steam than it is right
Yeah,
now. Like
we're
that,
even starting to see that in the best ball streets. He's
yeah.
getting peak value right now.
Yeah, and so it's just one of those situations that makes me nervous. And sure, could he finish as a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy this year? The ceiling's certainly there with Kirk Cousins, but
Yeah, if you sign him up for 15 touchdowns, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Yeah.
like yeah, he's gonna need to get the touchdowns. But I think like you said, I think there's gonna be more of this pie for players like Darnell Mooney than in Rondell Moore for two.
Mhm.
Than people think. And I think it's going to be more of an equal distribution of targets. And we know, like, as I've already laid out, Darnell Mooney's going to get the deep ball. And so best ball, Darnell Mooney, like in the later rounds, is a perfect pick.
This might sound like crazy, but if you liked what Jordan Addison did last year in the Vikings offense, I don't think there's too dissimilar of a opportunity for Darnell Mooney in that type of role. When you think about it, Kevin Conley and Raheem Morris, Zach Robinson, they all come from the Sean McVay tree.
Yep.
So they can have similar concepts, similar offensive builds. So I think it's not going to be one for one, but I mean, it's going to be able to be, I think you're going to be able to rely in terms of trends and what to expect by looking at past Vikings and past Rams offenses as to what we'll see in Atlanta. So I love the Darnell Mooney call. Wide receiver 69 on Keep Trade Cut, wide receiver 79 in our ranks. And this isn't Trade Gods. Shout out to my co-host on Trade Gods, Jason Outline, but go buy Darnell Mooney because I agree with Seth. He is someone that has flown up the dynasty ranks for good reason. Now, we always use the term falling like a brick, and it hurts to hear it when it's attached to something you like. But that's just the nature of ranking these players out for dynasty. So who is the player that has fallen like the proverbial brick this offseason for you?
Well, it kind of hurts me to say because I liked him coming out of college, but I think it would be a mistake not to drop Jordan Addison. You just talked about it significantly in your dynasty rankings because you talk about a player. He was that was an offense that could support 3 legitimate options in Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and obviously Justin Jefferson. And now you have Sam Darnold coming in. And I guess the rumors are vampant throughout the league that, they're going to be interested in trading up for a quarterback, but that's not a guaranteed thing. And it very well could be that if they draft, let's say JJ McCarthy, that Sam Darnold plays for the entire year. And how good do you feel about Sam Darnold throwing to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson when he comes back from injury, because he's probably not going to be ready to start the season. I don't know if anybody feels good about that. So you have to drop him. For me, I've dropped him below George Pickens. I've dropped him below Zay Flowers, definitely below Tank Dell. I have him below Jaden Reed. I've just dropped him significantly. And I don't know if there's a much more obvious pairing of like just as we were talking, what could you get on top of? Could you get a first round pick plus Darnell Mooney for Jordan Addison this year? I think it's possible because I think that there's somebody out there that still believes in this Minnesota offense. And to me, I just don't. I think this is just going to be a lost season for Jordan Addison just because of the situation and because I don't believe in Sam Darnold. It has nothing to do with his talent, it has everything to do with situation. So Jordan Addison for me, I really don't understand. I guess I get it, but I don't really understand the whole Trey McBride being like some people's tight end 2 and dynasty tight end 3. Like Trey McBride was the tight end 7 last year, tight end 8 in fantasy points per game. I get it. He had over 100 targets, but Arizona's widely expected to draft a wide receiver. I get it. Like that. Yeah, probably like Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors. Who knows what they plan to do at quarterback? Everybody thinks that they're going to hang on to Kyler Murray, but again, if you're asking me what do I think is going to happen with Trey McBride, who's a 24-year-old tight end, I get it. He's probably going to finish about like he did last year in this offense. because I don't really see the volume, because exit Hollywood Brown, exit Rondell Moore. Like, this is a good wide receiver draft. They're probably going to draft Marvin Harrison plus another one in the later rounds. It wouldn't shock me. And then, like,
With all their draft picks, yeah, it would make perfect sense.
so all these people talking about the volume increase for Trey McBride, it may just not be there. And there are other tight ends, like, I don't know, like, I just don't understand these tight end rankings, to be honest. But like, for some people, like, because for most people, from what I've seen, have like some combination of like Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid, Trey McBride, all ranked up there in the top 5. And I'm like, what about Kyle Pitts? Like, what about Mark Andrews? Like, what? Like, this is still like a 2 to 3 year window type of thing. Like, Mark Andrews is 28 years old. The age apex for tight ends is 30 years old. We're fine, guys. Like, what about like Evan Engram, who's still in a great situation? I get it. Like, George Kittle's 30 years old, but he's still insanely productive. I'd probably like Brock Bowers. Like, we'll talk more about Brock Bowers later too, but even Brock Bowers, it's like Trey McBride or Brock Bowers. I guess it depends on the situation. I'm a little bit leery of Brock Bowers, and then like you go further on down the list, and like you have just productive tight ends. Like David Njoku was the tight end 5 last year. Cole Kmet's just like a perennial top 10 tight end. So I don't know, man. I would be very leery in like a startup. I don't know if he's dropping like a brick, but Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid, like, I'm just kind of leery of those options, especially like Dalton Kincaid. I still think Dawson Knox is there, right?
Of
like
course he's there. And they can't get out from underneath his contract till after this season. And he has a rapport with Josh Allen. He makes big catches for them in big situations. So he's not going anywhere. I do kind of agree with your kind of caution on these tight ends. And like you said, the question that was posted was, have they fallen like a brick? These guys aren't falling like bricks in our rankings, but I do think you bring up a great point. And the reason for the game plan is to have these conversations so that, the planners that tune in can use these conversations and, I hate to use this term because it sounds so violent, but weaponize it to win their leagues, to get some wins and get advantages in their leagues. And that's, I think, a place that they need to start. Like, we're just going to forget that Travis Kelce was tight end 1 last year. I know he had a down year, but we're just going to pretend like he wasn't tight end 1. We're going to pretend like they didn't bring in Marquise Brown. They could bring in another weapon to relieve a lot of the pressure that he was facing. Are we just going to forget about that? Because he's 34, we're just going to assume Dalton Kincaid's better? Like, I'm not ready for that.
Well, I'm
not ready for that.
It's like the ultimate, and it just depends on how you dynasty. Like you said, weaponize it. I believe in cashing out when I believe the value is at an all-time high. I can't imagine that Trey McBride is going to get much higher than tight end 2 or 3, like he is for some people. Right. Like, I just can't imagine it. Like, do you think he's ever going to be tight end 1? Yeah, like, he's only played 2 years in this league, and he's only showed us a tight end 7 season, which, to be honest, it's not that impressive considering like Taysom Hill was like in the same neighborhood. Like, and I get it.
We've seen guys like David Njoku, former first-round picks, take years. Yeah. Evan Engram went a few years, kind of just fallen by the wayside after he was good.
Mm-hmm.
The position's a little weird.
Yeah, and we play in these 2 to 3 year windows. And I don't know about you, but I like to win, and I don't really like to. I mean, I'll build my team with youth. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to just have crusty veterans all over the place. But if you're asking me, like, how much more can I get on top of Travis Kelce for to trade them Trey McBride? Like, you brought up Kelce. Kelce's gonna I got news for people. Kelce's gonna finish as a top 3 tight end. Like, you
can book it.
Death, taxes. Yeah. Travis Kelce's gonna finish as a top 3 tight end with Patrick Mahomes in that offense. And now he's got Hollywood Brown as more of a field stretcher. That's gonna open up. He's gonna take that MVS role on the outside. That's gonna open up the middle of the field even more for guys like, Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, and etc. So, yeah, like, how much more could you get on top of Trey McBride? If I'm a win now team, that's a move I make all day, because I could probably get, I don't know, like, what, a 2nd round rookie pick, maybe more than that on top of, to trade away Trey McBride and get Kelce back.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. A lot. So some people play Dynasty to portfolio. We play Dynasty to win here over at the Game Plan. We want to win next year because you win one league, it supports your bankroll for maybe all your leagues for a couple of years. Whereas some people, it's more important for them to have a nice little portfolio of players, have a nice little valuable portfolio. I don't know what that really means. I'm always confused by that because isn't it about winning these leagues? So I'm with you on there. Taking advantage in some of the ageists or reverse ageists and the people who are just extra premiums on youth. This is a great time of the year to take advantage because those old fogies that we talk about, they're not going anywhere. And some fall off a cliff, some don't. But the price is always apropos for that risk when you're talking about the vets. So I like bringing up those two guys. I think that's smart to do. We're going to go ahead and hear from one of our sponsors, but you're going to want to stick around because Seth kind of alluded to it. But next, we're going to dive into how these rookies play in to our dynasty ranks. But catch you in a second.
Now, I know many of you are looking for a secret weapon for your Dynasty League, and I have it. It's called the Dynasty Dominator app. You go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's right there. It's $5 to download, and then every year it's $5 to load the next incoming class of rookies. You can add Superflex, add tight end premium. It's incredible because it allows you to look up players. It allows you to vote on whether a player is a buy, hold, or sell, and then see the market sentiment on that player. And you can compare their lifetime value rating from PlayerProfiler to their Dynasty ADP at the FFPC, all in the price lookup tool. And beyond that, we have a trade analyzer, so you'll never lose another Dynasty trade again. And in our settings, you can set this is a win now team, this is a rebuilding team, and then we let you compare players. Look at their metrics side by side, prospect metrics, NFL metrics. It's all there. It's $5 in the App Store. There's some add-ons for Superflex and to buy the upcoming rookie class. Every year, you're going to spend $5 on this thing, and it's going to be well worth it.
Welcome back to the Game Plan. Matty Kiwoom sitting down here with Seth D, talking about some updated dynasty ranks. So I'm going to ask you, we've been talking rookies a lot on the Hurdle every Wednesday. Check that out over at the Executives of Fantasy Football YouTube channel. But how have the top players in this class settled into your dynasty ranks? Now, we could go through just kind of rapid fire through the top four positions, or we could kind of settle into a position. I'll give you the chance here. But how have these rookies kind of settled into your dynasty ranks?
Well, the very top ones, like, the top 7 or 8, depending on how you look at it. And we'll talk more about the quarterbacks later, but I guess I'll start with Caleb Williams. Like, Caleb Williams, to me, like, the more I watch about him, and I was talking to you guys about it on the Hurdle, like, I don't know if it's bro science or what it is. Like, you could probably help me out here, or if this is in like the glossary of bro science.
You're in the chapel of bro science. The Game Plan is where bro science comes to be worshipped.
Yeah, I call them, and I'm definitely not inventing this term, but I call them like stand up out of your chair plays, like the wow plays.
Oh shit plays.
Oh shit plays. Yeah. There's a lot of when you watch Caleb Williams film, there's a lot of holy shit, how did he do that plays. I watched a game where he like jumped in the air and threw a rifle into coverage and somehow got it in there. Like, I believe we are dealing with, and we talked about it a little bit before the show, people want to poo-poo the phone or the crying or the fingernails. I don't give a shit about any of that. If he can play and win games, do you think anybody's going to remember any of that? And guess what? His offensive line was not very good at USC. He was running around for his life quite a bit. Brendan Rice and Taj Washington are good prospects. They aren't Malik Neighbors or Brian Thomas Jr. like Jaden Daniels had. Not anywhere close. No disrespect to those guys. Caleb Williams, to me, and it's becoming a country miles difference between him and the quarterback 2 in this class. And right now I have him in a super flex startup draft. He is right after Anthony Richardson for me, just because I believe obviously, like, if you ask me who you start in your franchise with, Seth, I'd say Caleb Williams over Anthony Richardson. But Anthony Richardson is an alien. Like, he's big, fast. I think he can develop as a passer. Like he's Cam Newton, but better. And Cam Newton was like legitimately
MVP, took his team to the Super Bowl, 15-1 season.
Yeah,
He was that dude.
He was I think he was the quarterback 1 in fantasy that year. And
he was a QB1, for a lot of years coming out of the gate, including, when his rookie year, he kind of played half the year and there was a lot of run packages. He was like that guy on everyone's bench that was their starter by the end of the year, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Anthony Richardson has that kind of upside, but we're talking like after the top tier of Allen, Hurts, Mahomes, Jackson, CJ Stroud, Joe Burrow, Richardson, Caleb Williams. I mean, that's where he is in my rankings because he's gonna get drafted by the Bears. And when was the last time a number 1 overall pick came into a situation with an improving offensive line? They just took Darnell Wright last year. They just traded for Keenan Allen. They already had DJ Moore, and now they signed Gerald Everett and DeAndre Swift in free agency. All of it, like, look at all these weapons. Heck, by the way, they still have the number 9 pick and more cap space.
Yeah.
And more cap space.
Ryan
Matty.
Poles was very smart with the cap. There's some people out there saying, why did you spend more? Because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You want to be fluid. You want to be liquid. We talk about the importance of being liquid in Dynasty. Well, these NFL teams want to be liquid in their cap room so they can make moves when they feel appropriate. You never know who's going to get cut during camp. You never know who's going to spring available. They want to keep some money in their back pocket, and they're doing justice by Caleb Williams. And we've talked about it. I'll say it again. This is now the new gold standard for how you usher in a new era and usher in a rookie quarterback.
And it's never something I would have thought I would be saying about my Chicago Bears ever. Look at the history of the Chicago Bears. I get it. Like, we've sucked forever. It's a real thing. And then every once in a while we have a season like, we had in 2018 where the double doink season. And we're, then we have a great year and win the NFC North, and then it's right back to sucking. But now they have a legitimate chance with Caleb Williams for sustained success. And I hate these people, and not to go off on a tangent here, but the cap doesn't matter. Look at what the Saints have done. They just keep pushing it. Yeah, the Saints are going to have a massive bill to pay. And it's not, do you see the Saints adding any free agents? No.
Also, we don't see the Saints winning Super Bowl, so it's not a winning strategy.
Yeah, it's not a winning strategy. And that, you look at what the Bills had to do this year. The Bills did what all the fans clamor for. Like, you got to push your chips into the middle of the table. Like, bye-bye, Jordan Poyer. Like, bye-bye, like
Tre'Davious White. Yeah, later.
Tre'Davious. Bye-bye, like all these.
Trey White. Let's call him Trey White because we get caught
anyway,
up in the first name.
Don't make it a semantics argument. But you see what I'm saying? Like, all these players, like, the cap is a very real thing, and Ryan Poles has done a masterful job of managing it and giving himself an opportunity to bring in quality players for not that big of a contract. Like, what they're paying, like, a 4th-round pick for Keenan Allen was just a masterstroke because, again, there's another team that was up against the cap, the Chargers. Do you think they wanted to get rid of Keenan Allen? No. Do you think they wanted to get rid of Mike Williams or Austin Eckler? No. They had to. They had to restructure all these contracts just to make it work.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was just going to bring up too. Is like, how do you think that locker room's doing right now with their top 2 defensive players having to basically be strong armed to take lesser deals? The threat of trade, the threat of cut. That's not where you want to be. That's not where you want the Bears to be, and that's not where you want to be for Caleb Williams. And it's not necessarily a short-term thing either. Things go right in 2024 for this offense. Do you think Keenan's going to hightail it? If they give him a comparable, no, he's at the end of his career. He wants to be somewhere comfortable. If him and DJ Moore have a good rapport and Caleb Williams can feed them both, and this thing does click, like we're starting to expect it will, why not stick around? Why not be part of this build for the long haul? And like you said, they still got pick 9, which is why for me, I got Caleb inside my top 8 in Dynasty quarterbacks. Where do you have him?
Let's see. I just had 1, 2, 3. I'm counting. This is great radio. 5, 6, I have 7. I have him at 7. So we're right in the same neighborhood. But yeah, I couldn't be more hot. And this is like, I believe, and I put this out there, I believe that it is in the range of outcomes. And I'm going to predict that Caleb Williams at some point in his career is the quarterback 1 in Dynasty because of his youth, because of the way that some of these other quarterbacks are projecting. Like
I like
look
trajectory.
at trajectory. Like
We're trajectorying here at the game plan
like,
today, baby.
look at what's happening to like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Like overnight, like Justin Herbert doesn't have Keenan Allen, doesn't have Mike Williams, doesn't have Austin Eckler anymore. Like, what are they going to do? Yeah, sure, they might draft a wide receiver with the 5th pick. That would be amazing.
So.
But they're gonna. I would bet you anything that Jim Harbaugh has his eyes, like he needs as much ammunition as possible, and they're looking to trade out of there, like, and looking to move back because they need multiple pieces, and they're looking to win now. And I think Jim Harbaugh is going to have a great draft because he's coming straight from the recruiting trail. He's going to know a lot of these guys, and that's typically when these coaches hit on these drafts. So I would almost bet you that they're either going to trade out or take a guy like Brock Bowers or an offensive lineman, or like, I don't know if wide receiver is going to be there. And then you look at Joe Burrow. So lack of weapons for Justin Herbert overnight. Look at Joe Burrow, 2 seasons now where he's been hurt. And again, like the arm thing's kind of fluky, but he has Jamar Chase, but T Higgins might be traded. Tyler Boyd is a free agent. I'm sure they bring in Mike Gesicki and maybe Mike.
No Joe Mixon.
No Joe Mixon. You're right. They kind of have a Chase Brown, Zach Moss. Isn't it Zach Moss they signed? Or
that's right, Zach Moss.
And that's their backfield all of a sudden. And like, gosh, it doesn't get like, now you say like this rookie's got a better situation than those guys. Like it's so
that's fair to say.
Things can change like very rapidly in Dynasty. So like, I believe with his youth, and he's 22 years old. Not to say like the age with quarterbacks isn't as big of a deal in Dynasty, but I think like people are going to get real excited about Caleb Williams because he is set up just to succeed right away. I think he's going to be quarterback 1 at some point in his career in Dynasty.
Oh, for sure. I mean, even a year ago, if I were to tell you who would rather have Jordan Love or Justin Herbert, you would laugh at me, but now it's become pretty damn close. So that's just kind of the reality. There's a few rookies here, so I don't want to give away all your ranks here. Go to playerprofile.com, go check out Seth's YouTube channel at Seth Diewold. You're doing a lot of content too, so I don't want to give away all your secrets, but you can just ballpark it, top 15, top 20. I'm just gonna go rapid fire for some of the other quarterbacks, some of the other big dog players here. Where do you have give me your range for the other 3, the top 4 quarterbacks? So Jane Daniels, Drake May, JJ McCarthy.
It might be boring, but I have this on my list here. Like, I am not as big of a fan as these other rookie quarterbacks as some other people are.
You've ruined Jane Daniels for me. I'm going to let you know that now. I'm letting you know that live in person. I didn't tell you this pre-show, but you've ruined Jane Daniels for me. I've been watching a lot of LSU tape recently. I got some watching their Florida game, Texas A&M game. I'm really kind of diving into all the plays, and I was giving him credit for the runs, but then you broke the glass and mentioned that he's a lot of one-read runners. NFL hates that, and there is a lot of one-read runs in the game. There is. Son of a bitch. You ruined Jane Daniels. So so go ahead. Why don't you ruin the rookie class at quarterback for the rest of the planners here?
Well, I'll say that, like, I'll be positive before I'm negative. Like, Drake May is actually, like, the more I dig into Drake May, I'm like, he's
got the most upside.
Drake May is
anyone other than Caleb.
Yeah, Drake May is now my quarterback too. I've gone back and forth. Like, early in the process, I had Jane Daniels as QB2. Now I have Drake May as QB2 because, like, he's more of a processor, like, in the pocket, like, and he's got a good enough arm. People compare him to Josh Allen. I got news for you, folks. Josh Allen was a physical freak that you just thought if he can figure out the accuracy. I watched Josh Allen play live at Wyoming, came to Iowa City to play the Hawkeyes, and the Iowa Hawkeyes always have what? They always have good pass rushers, good linebackers. They have a solid defense. I watched this motherfucker. I don't know. I just got us demonetized. I watched this MFer.
You know that better than anybody about demonetization.
Yeah, I just watched this MFer. MF, I dropped. I shouldn't have.
That's fine.
I watched this MFer like roll out to his left, roll out to his right. Like, there's like 4-5 Iowa Hawkeyes trying to bring this guy down. There's nobody open, and he throws off his back foot for 50 yards. And I'm sitting there going, if this guy can ever figure out how to just throw a slant, this guy's going to be amazing. I don't see that with Drake May. Drake May, and this is no disrespect, my comp for him a long time ago, and it still is Daniel Jones. And it's not disrespectful because I think Daniel Jones is a really good athlete with a good arm, and I think he can be a suitable NFL quarterback. That's what I think Drake May is. Jane Daniels reminds me of Justin Fields. The comparison is uncanny. Like, and Justin Fields is like 6'3", 230. Like, he's built like a brick, what?
Yeah,
like
he is.
Jaden Daniels is a slider, and he took hits in college I didn't think were necessary. Somebody needs to get him a slip and slide so he can practice this slide, just like we did at baseball practice. Like, I don't understand like, I'll give him this. Like, Jaden Daniels has like a quick, tight, nice release, like, and the ball just kind of zips out of his hand.
Yeah, he's a better release than Fields.
Like, he's got more arm to, like, Fields has this weird, like, looping. Like,
he does. And he
brings the elbow up, and like, it's not pretty to watch. But like, it's like, how, like, when you are able, like, when you're a one read guy, it helps to have Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors as that one read.
Yeah.
Like, because chances are they're going to get open. The
Malik
only
Neighbors open every damn play.
Yeah,
Malik Neighbors open every damn play.
And this is a stat that I think is kind of a mic drop, and I might need some time to stall to bring it up. But Jaden Daniels, I believe 34% of his touchdowns, of his 50 touchdowns, were against I think Army.
He did have like 6 touchdowns against Army.
I'm bringing it up right now.
He made it look bonkers against like a Tulane, a school like that.
Yeah, but anyway, it was like 34% of it was like against Weber State. Like, it's probably not Weber State, but like it was against not teams, like not D1 school, like not like the SEC. Okay, yeah. I've got it now. Georgia State. He had 6 touchdowns. 8 touchdowns against Georgia State, 2 rushing, 6 passing. He had 4 touchdowns against Army, and Grambling. He had 5 touchdowns against Grambling. So that, if my math is correct, is 17 touchdowns. 34% of his total touchdowns came against Grambling, Army, and Georgia State. So I'm not saying that's everything. And then somebody came at me on Twitter and said, well, 40% of Caleb Williams' touchdowns came against Arizona State, and like some other D1 schools. Like, what?
Conference opponents?
Go ahead and rank those 6 teams for me, please. I would love to see Arizona State play Grambling. Can we get that game on the schedule? Yeah, can we get Arizona against Georgia State, please, and see how many points, what the point spread is according to Vegas? Can we make that happen, please? So I'm just, like, Jaden Daniels has, in my opinion, needs to get better at processing the field. Because, like you said, it was a one read, and then he's reliant on that elite athleticism, and it's elite, man. He can scoot, he can, but as far as like moving in the pocket, like it's very similar to me to Justin Fields. So I'm not saying he can't be a good quarterback at the NFL, but he's going to need a lot of support, and he's going to have to get better at a lot of different areas of his game. And the difference between like him and Caleb Williams is, like I said, a country mile.
It's big. And we don't care about that for fantasy. We're going to love the ability to run.
Oh, for fantasy, Jaden Daniels is amazing. Like, he's
that's what I'm saying. But I think you also have to be cautious with the longevity. 2 years ago, Justin Fields was, you can't get him off my team. And now, so you got to be careful of that longevity. So Drake May, Jaden Daniels, do they set inside your top 20 or top 25-ish? Where are they in your ranks?
See, this might be boring, but I would actually probably, and I know like you'd have to do some finagling, but I don't know what's wrong with Jared Goff as a quarterback or Jordan Love, or like I have them like basically it's Tua, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, like kind of like in that Bryce Young.
That's exactly where I have.
And then Bryce Young is like right below him. Baker Mayfield, Deshaun, like kind of like in that neighborhood. So I mean, these guys are still gonna be like probably. I mean, I'm not gonna get them in dynasty startups, but they're probably gonna be like 4th and 5th round dynasty startup picks, I would imagine. I mean, draft capital and situation are going to determine a lot of that. Like, but we'll see. Like my one of my bold predictions is like we were just talking about it. You just saw like how the NFL feels about a quarterback like Justin Fields. It would not shock me if Jaden Daniels falls out of the top 5. Like it would not shock me if that happens. Now I know there's a lot of like, what do you believe? Like narratives floating out there, and I'm definitely like, we're not big media, so I'm not going to create. It's not like we're going to see it on the bottom of like, maybe Jason will tweet it out. Like
Jason will. Shout out Jason. He'll
yeah. Jason will tweet out like Seth believes like Jaden Daniels is going to fall in the top 5. But I'm just saying right now, like the NFL just told you how they felt about a Justin Fields like prospect, and that's why I see a lot of Justin Fields and Jaden Daniels. It only takes one team to say, hey, we can take that guy and we can make him an NFL caliber prospect. So I get that. But all of these teams, Washington, New England, Minnesota, I guarantee you the Bears would have traded him in division if they would have gotten like a 3rd round, 4th round pick for him. All of them had a chance at Justin Fields. They didn't have to extend the 4th year. Like 1 year of Justin Fields, or are you going to spend a top 3, top 5 pick on Jaden Daniels? Like all of them had a crack at Justin Fields, and they said no.
Yeah, for a lot cheaper than the 8th overall pick that Mel Kiper thought a few months ago.
Yeah, the 8th overall pick. What a
that
clown.
Was not a great call.
Hey man, that was not even close to a great call. Adam Schefter said that the Bears would at least get a 2nd round pick for Justin Fields.
He said that like a week or so before the trade. So that market disintegrated fast at best. Let's play a little game of truth. No, I almost said truth there. True or false?
Okay.
Let's play a little true or false here. The top 3 receivers in this class, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, and Marvin Harrison Jr., are all top 12 wide receivers in Dynasty. True or false?
Let me see. Yes. No. I would say false, but it's not because I don't like Rome Odunze. He's just outside. Let me see.
He's like at 13
or 14. He's at 14. He's at 14
yeah.
for me.
So, okay, true. They're all top 15 guys. So
they're
all of them are very, 15. Very good. Okay, true or false, Seth? True or false? 0 rookie running backs should be in the top 20 for Dynasty.
That's true. And I like this RB class. Let me just no. I have Trey Benson at 19, right after David
Montgomery. Just gets in there.
But he's just barely in there. And then I have Blake Corum at 21 or 22, actually 22. Okay. So they're right there. And I have Trey Benson, like it just to give people an idea, like David Montgomery is 18, Trey Benson 19, Tajay Spears 20, Tony Pollard 21, and Corum 22. Like, so that's kind of how I have them shook out in my dynasty rankings currently. So yeah, it's close, but I guess the answer is true technically.
Technically true. Okay.
Yeah.
One last one. True or false? Brock Bowers is a top 3 tight end in Dynasty.
That's false. I actually have him at tight end 7. And I know that's going to get some people up in arms, but how many times, and Sam Laporta just ruined this for us last year, but how many times are we going, oh my God, this rookie tight end is going to be amazing.
Austin Safarian Jenkins, Jay Samaro,
OJ Howard.
The GOAT prospect. Yeah. I mean, that was the unicorn before these guys.
Yeah. Noah Fant was picked 20 overall and just never, I mean, terrible quarterback play in Denver. So
it took Hawkinson some time. Hawkinson wasn't the world beater out of the box. Took him a little time to marinate, and he started singing when he went to Minnesota.
And Detroit traded him to Minnesota. Yeah, so definitely. So no, he's tight end 7 for me. Like I have Kyle Pitts ahead of him. I have Mark Andrews ahead of him. Hawkinson ahead of him. Kincaid McBride ahead of him, although not as high. And then Sam Laporta is my tight end 1.
I think I have him right now tight end 5. I think I'm gonna display a little bit of cautiousness. I think you've sold me on. I think I'm gonna have him at tight end 8. I just don't know. We'll get TBD because
Yeah.
there's I want to sort through a couple of things before I make that decision. The next question, though, I do want to ask you: is there a player that you consider a trap? And what I mean by that is a guy that maybe the industry is really singing his praises, someone who is kind of go get this guy, this is the best guy, but you're just not buying that hype. So who is a trap out there right now in rankings?
Well, I kind of I actually had all the. I thought this would be a. I actually have all the rookie quarterbacks in this class not named Caleb Williams. Like so I. But we
Okay, I
talked
like
about.
that.
But I'll go one step further and say JJ McCarthy. I'll say JJ McCarthy is flying up a lot of people's rankings. There's a lot of buzz out there, but this is officially do not believe it season. Like. I don't believe anything that I really hear unless it's from like a legit source. And they're not going to tell like Adam Schefter.
Smoke screen season, baby.
Yeah. Yes.
They're all pawns in the game. Adam Schefter can't be trusted. And, Tom Pelissero, none of these guys can be trusted. Not that they're not just like relaying truthful information. They're doing their job correctly in the way they always do. But teams are out there throwing smoke screen grenades, trying to cause these hallucinations, trying to get people off their trail. Remember last year at 4, how close to the chest Chris Ballard and the Colts played Anthony Richardson?
Yeah.
That's what teams are doing.
Yeah, no, it's and you're right, and it's true. And JJ McCarthy to me would have been well suited to just take another year, stick in college. I get it. Like I understand why he left because Jim Harbaugh left, and that team is not going to be nearly as good this year as it was last year. And they obviously national champions. There's no better way to go out. But he needs some time to develop because Matt Babich, who is the official JJ McCarthy hater, number one of the JJ McCarthy hater club, pointed out to me that he is not the most accurate. Michigan, like just look at his route tree. I think reception perception posted something about it, and just look at like his accuracy on all the different routes. And it's a lot of yellow and it's a lot of red. So Michigan didn't really ask him to go above and beyond to say, hey, JJ McCarthy, let's put the team on your back. Go win the game for us, buddy. Sure. He had some great moments for sure. But there was a run heavy scheme. It was a Jim Harbaugh design scheme. So don't people freak out about this. All right. But we talked about like how JJ McCarthy reminds us a lot of Zach Wilson. Okay, he reminds us a lot of
That's
how
my player
on
comp
Zach.
for him. Yeah, my player comp for him.
Oh
was
wow,
Zach Wilson.
wow! Oh my God,
Mhm.
like great minds. Zach Wilson, like, but with a better head on his shoulder and with a lot
better
more
prospect. We're talking about a 5-star kid, one of the best college or high school quarterbacks to ever come out of the state of Illinois. So they're not equal playing fields, but how they, make plays off schedule, how they can do things off kilter, their ability to throw in the run, all of that looked very similar when you look at BYU tape and Michigan tape.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. People want to say this like poo-poo situation, but if Patrick Mahomes would have been drafted by the Bears at pick 2 or 3 and back in 2017, they were not at the time set up. Do you remember who the coach was for the Chicago Bears in 2017?
When they took Trubisky?
Yeah.
I could picture his face, but I'm not going to give you the right name.
John Fox.
That's
John
it.
Fox.
That's it. That's right.
The defensive
retread of retreads.
The defensive, who I guess was, according to the Chicago guys I listened to, was actually thrust upon the new general manager, Ryan Pace, at the time because they wanted a coach with experience. And like, can you imagine, like Patrick Mahomes with John Fox and Allen Robinson is nowhere near the same situation as Patrick Mahomes with Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill. I mean, come on.
In a year to sit behind Alex Smith.
In a year to... That's what I'm getting at. So situation is going to be 1,000%. It's going to imagine if Zach Wilson were in this draft and I'm looking at the Minnesota Vikings. This is the perfect situation for JJ McCarthy because he doesn't need to start right away. They already signed Sam Darnold to be their starting quarterback this year. They can draft JJ McCarthy, let him sit. Guess who's there? Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. Can you imagine a better set of Kevin O'Connell's looking like a really good coach. So anyway, like to me, the situation is going to matter for him. If he gets drafted by New England,
That's right. Well,
Yeah.
my one thing I will say about New England is New England's going to try to win early by running the football and playing defense, something that JJ McCarthy I think could be good at. But I don't. The report up here in New England is if it was McCarthy, if it's any quarterback, the idea is Brissett's going to get most of the games. They're okay with the 1 year marination, but again, they're not in that situation the Chiefs are. Chiefs traded up from 27 to 10. People forget.
Yep.
They were, imagine the Bills trading up, the Cowboys trading up, right around where the Baltimore Ravens finished last year. Those are the teams that you comp that Chiefs squad to that season when they moved up from Mahomes. I like to call, when I'm thinking about the quarterbacks, the situation unlocks the special. Can they unlock the special of the quarterback? If they can do that, then you could be off to the races. Bucky Brooks said it in a way that the way to develop a quarterback is you have them be a game manager on their rookie contract, and then you ask them to be a playmaker on their second contract. That is the optimal way to do that. And Mahomes is a freak, so he didn't have to wait a full rookie contract, but it was a full season with Tyreek Hill, with Travis Kelce, with Andy Reid, with a playoff team. So, I mean, you got to be able to unlock these kids' specials. And for me, I'm with you on JJ McCarthy. I got him at quarterback 22 in my dynasty ranks. I have him right around the Baker Mayfields, the Aaron Rodgers, like those older players. But he is my Q. I think he's going to become my QB2 for the NFL. Because I do think that if a team brings him into the right situation, the situation can unlock the special. I think he could be really, really special. And where I think his floor is probably Cousins, where I think, Daniels and May's floor is your franchise is in a shithole in 5 years and you're back at it. So, but that's a conversation for a different day. We're talking dynasty ranks here, but I'm loving that conversation. The trap might be these rookie quarterbacks, and more importantly, JJ McCarthy. Last question. I'll get you out of here with this, Seth. Give all the game planners tuning in a sleeper. Who's someone that you are a lot higher on the consensus, deeper than Darnell Mooney? Darnell Mooney got to start off on the right foot. That was a fire take. I love that take. But now let's bring this up. Who is the deep sleeper that Seth D is touting right now?
Amongst rookies, like I don't know if he's a sleeper, but for some reason he keeps falling in these drafts. And I know I disagree with Cody on this. Is Jermaine Burton for me? Like this is a guy who was productive every single year college, at Georgia, at Alabama. He transferred from Georgia to Alabama, 400 yards receiving even as a freshman. And it just when I look at prospects, I like to see if they can really take over a game and be the focal point of an offense. And I just keep coming back to that Texas A&M game where he had 2 touchdowns, I think 190 yards receiving. Just they could not stop him. And it wasn't just deep routes. It wasn't just short, get him a screen, right? It was short, intermediate, deep. He was beating guys in every quadrant of the field. And there's a play, I think it was the SEC championship game this year against Georgia, where they beat him, I believe, that the route called for him to go deep over the middle. It was a deep post over the middle. He could have, like, the defender was leveraged on the inside, and but that's not where the route was gonna have him go. And it was like an anticipatory throw, and he still beat him to the inside. He used his footwork and beat him over the middle for a touchdown. And just those plays, when I watch a guy like Burton, I believe he's going to get drafted a lot higher than people think. I think he's a day 2 pick in the NFL draft. And if he gets that kind of draft capital, he's going to shoot up people's boards. But I'll go even deeper as far as like some of the rookies. And I know we're going to agree on some of these. Rasheen Ali is somebody that I believe has a very similar running style to David Montgomery. And David Montgomery is somebody who I really like. Obviously, Malik Washington from Virginia.
Love Malik Washington.
Malik Washington is somebody that he gets open, man. And they just try to get the ball in his hands. And
you want your Tank Dell of this class, it could be Malik Washington.
Yeah, and he's going to get drafted. Like he might, depending on where he lands in the NFL draft, he might not even get drafted in your rookie draft. And then somebody I know that I've been digging in on more, and I agree on Cody with this, is Tyrone Tracy from Purdue. Like Tyrone Tracy is just like, you talk about making the most out of just barely anything with Purdue. This is just a hard-nosed grinder of a player who I think is going to get some attention from NFL teams, especially in the later rounds. It's probably going to be a day 3 pick. Right. So obviously situation's going to matter. It always does, but those are just some rookie sleepers that are on my radar that I'm going to have a lot of in rookie drafts. I also like Kamani Vidal from Troy as well, quite a bit.
Good runner.
Yeah, good hard runner. Not as much of a pass catcher, but still
that could just be more
tough,
the nature of the Troy offense too.
Yeah, just a tough. Yeah, that's a good point. So those are several like rookie sleepers that are on my radar that I'm really, really high on, or higher on than most people. And I'm gonna like, when the 4th and 5th round of these rookie drafts come along, I'm gonna have a lot of those guys.
I love it. I love the Burton. If you're gonna bet on a rookie sleeper, why not bet on a wide receiver from Alabama? That's a pretty damn good track record when you look over the last bit of years. And if you want to get even deeper rookie sleepers, head over to the last episode of Blue Chips, where I jump into some of the FCS guys. One of my favorites, Hayden Hatton from Idaho. He's got a lot to like about his profile. Seth, thank you so much for hanging out on the game plan today, giving us some of your super secret dynasty ranking tips. Tell everyone where they can get all of your content.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Seth_DIEWOLD, Diewold. So you can follow me there for, like, I post rankings there from time to time. But if you want the deepest dive that I give, it's on my YouTube channel, which has been growing over the past several months. So thank you to those that have subscribed. But that's probably the best way you can help me, honestly, is as I continue to grow as an individual content creator, is just subscribe to my YouTube channel, leave a comment on my YouTube channel. I try to get back to all, if not most of those comments on YouTube. I will interact with you there. So if you want to interact with me, I'll interact with you on Twitter as well. I'm not the great, I'll say right now, I don't know if I still understand Twitter or how some people can send like 40 tweets a day, but I try to interact with as many people as possible. And I'm definitely not going to be on there for the toxicity or to, no,
that's not what you get from
to one up somebody, or I'm there for positive vibes only. And, I'm there to encourage other content creators and to promote their stuff, and like that, because there's too much, negativity out there. And we need some more positivity in the world, Matty. And we just need to pass that fatty full of fellowship and funk around the circle. And we all just need to remember that loving each other at the end of the day is the most important thing. So I'm not
one last time. What's that YouTube channel name? Where did you get that YouTube channel?
Seth Diewold, just my first and last name, Seth Diewold, which has been butchered by just about every press box announcer that you can imagine. And the worst one, and my friends always like give me a bunch of shit for it, is like the one baseball press announcer is like, and now batting, third baseman Seth. And there's always a pause because this guy did not do his homework. Seth Diewold. And it's just like, okay, where did the R come from? Like, I can understand the DIE part, but where did the R come from? Where did it come from?
There it is, Seth Diewold, ladies and gentlemen. You can find me on X at Matty Kiwoom. Make sure you're subscribed to the Player Profiler YouTube channel. Like and comment this episode, and head over to Seth Diewold, not Seth Diewold, on YouTube. Get all that. The game plan, trade gods, blue chip, futurecast, all are happening. The Hurdle every Tuesday with my man Cody Carpentier. Head over to thedraftrankings.com. Get all of our stuff over there as well. Seth the D. It's been awesome, brother. I'll talk to you next time. And everyone out there, keep game planning. And I will see you on the flip side. Peace.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.